Hedge and welcome, Tube Dwellers, to another Mad Bag Gamer commentary. I'm going to do this one by replay, so of course that means that I'm commentating much after the fact. Very much later, very much so. We have Miner in the bottom of Antigua Shipyard, Miner the Terran player, and then of course myself, the Mad Bag, playing Protoss. As you can see by the name, I am playing on my Diamond account. I haven't checked yet. I will check after the match. I believe this is the Diamond player. He may not be, as sometimes you get matched up in the leagues above and below you. It happens. It happens. It's kind of neat when it happens. Sometimes you get your face smashed. Sometimes you smash a face. Either way, it's still fun. Of course it's fun. It's Starcraft. So I'm going to be demoing my General Protoss vs. Terran opener, which is the food block myself at 26 after a Zealot and a Stalker, so that I can, flip the expansion out. And I'm going to use that first Zealot and Stalker to do a little push, a little poke, see what he's up to. A lot of times I don't scout with this build. I believe I do in this game. And that's a suspiciously moving probe that looks like a scouting probe. Sure enough, there it goes. A lot of times I'll keep that probe at home just to get as much income as fast as possible, just to make sure that this expansion nexus comes down at the earliest possible time with this build. I don't see a gas yet for him. The gas is now late. There are some Terran players who will wait till 15 to put it down. A lot of times when you see them do that, it indicates they're planning on doing something with barracks, not necessarily like a factory and starport tech. If they're going factory and starport, you'll generally see that gas on 13 right after their barracks. It looks like he's doing neither, though. He may be going totally gasless, which would indicate that he wants to expand. Here the Rax finishes. And we'll see soon enough. First Marine's coming out. Oh! What's he doing? Okay, so there's a couple different ways Terrans can do this gasless expand. It looks like he's going to do the absolute greediest. He did go ahead and get his orbital command. A lot of times Terrans will build a supply depot right here, not necessarily the command center yet. Oh! Oh my! Okay, I do see the command center. That scouting probe is going to get away too. The micro wasn't quite on point enough. Anyway, as I was saying, without that supply depot, that second supply depot for the Terran, he's going to get food locked right here at 19. It's going to cause him to hiccup SCV and Marine production, but it gets the command center out a little faster, so it's a little greedier, but it's a little bit more risky. And I don't know, maybe the loss in SCV turns it out to be not any more greedy. Maybe it turns out to be a deficit. I don't know. I think this is the more economic play, though, skipping the depot and going for the expansion. So of course my build is shaping up as you might expect it to. I've got the gateway research on the way. The Stalker's coming out. Now my timing with this Zealot and Stalker are pretty critical, especially that I saw the time of his command center. I saw how incredibly early it was. Normally I would use this Stalker to kill this SCV off, but really I don't care right now. I am more concerned about getting across the map and getting up in this guy's face. He looks like he's got 2 Marines out. He has finished. Where did that supply depot go? There it is. He has finished the second supply depot now, so you can see that production resumes. That puts him at a slight worker disadvantage to me. It looks like he didn't hiccup for very long, though, because he's only about 4 behind me, and that's about how far behind you get just creating the orbital commands. Oh, what's this? It looks like I'm going to run right by. Oh, this is risky. He pops some Marines out immediately, which is good. Oh, but he's spending a lot of time shooting at that Zealot. That Zealot can take a lot of Marine shots, especially from only 3 Marines. The Stalker's so close, 12 hit points. Holy crap, he gets the last Marine. Oh, that's beautiful. This gives me free reign. It's only a couple units, but still gives me free reign over his expansion. The Stalker's down to 3 hit points. The SCV down to 9. Oh, and he dies right as he gets a depot up. How clutch. The Marine, oh, he's not going to get it. The Stalker just regen just enough shields. 1 hit point Stalker. It looks like I've abandoned them to go ensure that my macro is in place. And the macro that's coming in place is gateways. It looks like I don't have any kind of a proxy. I don't have any kind of a probe going out. I did get him to salvage the bunker. That is awesome, because this build that I'm doing allows for some pretty easy follow-up pressure. Oh, and here comes that probe to put the proxy down. I had to warp in 3 Stalkers here, which is not ideal. If I could add the proxy up, that would have been best case scenario. However, this is going to allow me to get a pretty good Stalker count, especially considering that I killed so many Marines in the beginning and he doesn't have a bunker up. So I'm going to get right back in his face, I'm going to get, 2 Marine kills at the cost of a Zealot, so that was an even trade. At this point in time, he is at a heavy deficit. So far, I've lost only that Zealot. So sometimes, even with the little supply block that this build has, you can just put on such great early pressure. Looks like I wasn't paying perfect attention. I should have rearranged these Stalkers before I went up the ramp, but I am microing decently now. Oh, he's still going to get that Stalker, but it looks like I'm going to wipe his army right back out to ground zero. And this is looking really nasty for Mr. Miner. The food count shows a 10 food deficit, and it is almost exclusively in workers. That is a nasty place to be. And again, my pressure is just enough to make him lift off. He's got to go inside, and oh my god, double engineering bay. He was definitely thinking that he was going to pull a greedy build off on me. But I am going to counter that with a half greedy, half pressure-oriented build. Now, I haven't been in his base yet past the front door. You can see my vision just sees this barracks and the 2 supply depots. I haven't even seen that one finished. Of course, you can assume such petty things. But I haven't been in his base to see what he's doing. Not even to see gas timings. I didn't see gases in the beginning, so I'm a little worried, and I'm going to be safe. I got the robotics facility. I'm going to get an observer out. Now, since I've put so much pressure on him, I'm sure that if he is doing Banshees, it's probably a slow, not perfect execution of Banshees. So with the observer, I'm not going to be defensive and keep it in my base. That's what I normally would do, but since I'm in such control of this game, I'm going to send it right over to his base first. I'm going to try to check out what he's got. And it looks like he's going to play defensive now. He's got the bunker up. He's going up to 4 barracks, so he can produce at about an equal rate as me. Actually, 4 will allow him to overproduce from my 3 gateway count. However, I've got that army count standing, and I have the economy. I have double his army right now. Matter of fact, even with this bunker and this tight placement and whatnot, I could probably push in right now and do some absolutely disgusting damage to that. So it looks like I'm taking my time. I know that I chased him off as natural, and I know that I got a huge advantage. So I'm sinking that advantage straight into my economy as hard as I can. And it looks like I'm investing in a couple key pieces of technology. I'm getting some damage, and I'm getting a Twilight Council. I can only imagine that's going to be for Blink, as I'm so ridiculously Stalker heavy. Also, while I'm getting this little period of critical technology up, I'm thinking defensive. I'm not even setting up my ramp. I'm kind of setting back in my base in case a drop just happens to appear at my back door. That way I can respond to it as quickly as possible. Now, he is catching up, just like I said, with these 4 barracks. He is catching up to me kind of quick. Oh, never mind. I think I just did a warp in. Yeah, oof. And I sprint back to being about twice his army count. I guess he is still getting his add-ons up, so he's not necessarily producing constant off these 4. And with the situation his economy's in, it looks like he can't quite keep up with the production there. He is going a 3rd command center. This is smart. I really like this play. He probably feels like he's behind, as he well should. So he's going to try to take a macro risk and pull himself back into the game. That is a really smart play. The way you should look at it is right now, this game is lost for Miner. If he plays it standard, if he just, keeps getting SCVs and army at the same rate, then I'm going to be doing the same thing, roughly, and be just ahead of him every step of the way. So he, instead, is going to hiccup army production for a good bit, just so he can whip out some heavier economy. And if we look at the production tab, I'm sure these SCVs are probably staying constant. Although, oof, with the chrono boosts on my probes, I'm setting at a perfect saturation on 2 base, and that is nastiness. I just started +2 weapons, and Blink's about to finish. Let's see what kind of timing I'm shooting for here. It looks like I am going to whip out my own Nexus, try to make sure I stay in the macro lead, in the lead macroeconomically. And though I saw this lift off last, it's been long enough that you can assume that he's going to be back down there. So he goes up to 2 base, I'm trying to trump him and go up to 3 base. Now, of course, I don't know that he's got this yet and that he's planning to go to a very fast 3 base as well. He's actually a little bit ahead of me on getting that 3rd base out, but he is way behind me in army value. I have stayed just about perfectly double him, and that's just probably rests solely on the shoulders of my my huge probe lead. Not to mention all the delayed mining time at this natural. It looks like I'm going to use an observer that I built and my stalkers to be a little bit of annoying across this high ground. He's going to come out here to get me, and I'm going to reveal that I have Blink, and then I'm going to reveal the army. So, obviously, this is going to be a smash fest. And really, I just wanted to show this short game because I'm going to follow up with another game. For some reason, I'm just on this double game kick, showing not quite the same thing. I'm going to be doing the same build against the Terran, but things unfold a bit differently, suffice to say. So that's going to be the end of this one. There's the offensive blink, the I win blink, and there's the GG! I'm not going to dwell a heck of a lot, but let's just go ahead and glance through here. Workers created. He created, you know, the average amount for a Terran to be under a Protoss. It was just the timing of when all the workers were created and what the workers were doing. There was a large period of time where he wasn't able to mine off of his natural. That's going to be seen right here in the resource collection rate. And actually, it looks like I just had a steady increase, and he had a decent increase considering, I want to say that this is about the time that I forced him off of his natural, sometime right in this space. And that's pretty much a story of the game, not to mention me keeping his army count low and skyrocketing my own. Another Terran, you say? What's this? Not the same player, no longer Miner. This time we have Saurer, the red Terran player in the top right of Cloud Kingdom. Of course, here I am once again, the Mad Bag, your Protoss champion, in the bottom left. I am going to showcase my favorite build here, my 26 supply block into Fast Expand, into Zealot Stalker Pressure, exactly what you just saw me use in a very risky way to take a very early advantage over the last Terran. This Terran, though, has a slightly different build in mind. He's not going to be quite as greedy as the last, and we're going to see my build in a diverse situation. What is this? Scouting SCV, I suppose. He is getting the supply depot at his front. A lot of people would say that it's not necessary to wall in versus Protoss, although a lot of Terrans still do. Having the wall in doesn't hurt you, so why not whip it out? It can help a little bit against Zealots, but it can also mean that Stalkers with an Observer get to pick off a supply depot for free, depending on how the early game plays out. I can't say that Observer... Oh! Whoa! What timing by him! Wow! It looks like the barracks might have went down in SCV late. It looked like he already had 13 queued. But he's proxying it. He's got it on my side of the map, right above my natural nonetheless. This could be nasty. I'm pretty solid right up until the Stalker comes out. When the Stalker comes out, my production falls off for a good while. I almost never build anything until going all the way to Warp Gates. Sometimes you can squeeze another unit out of the one gateway before Warp Gates finishes, before the other two gateways finish. But oftentimes I wait until Warp Gates and then start the Stalker production anew. So we have a barracks. I wonder how he's going to play this off. Is he going to try to bunker me out with some Marines? Is he going to get a Tech Lab immediately and go Marauders? Tech Lab it is. Or is he going to get a Tech Lab immediately and go Reapers? Reapers could potentially be nasty. Proxy Reapers are especially nasty in that a Zealot really can't do anything to a Reaper. A Reaper moves faster. You have to wait until you get a Stalker. The Reaper can literally dance around the Zealot and sit here and shoot probes the whole time. However, you can use some probes to trap the Reaper. He's going to scout in my base with this infernal proxying SCV. SCV just had to come over and build a barracks all up in my faces, and now he's going to use it to check me out too. How dare you, SCV? What a little cretin. My first Zealot comes out. Of course, the rally point shows my intentions. Blah-blam! I'm going to go right across the map, and I'm going to be aggressive immediately. As you can see on the production tab there, ooh, he's hiccuped SCVs, and he has finished a Marauder. He is getting concussive shell very quickly, and he is starting his second Marauder immediately. So, one Zealot, and he is moving very quickly out of position. Oh, and he's even going to block my natural. Man, this Terran's build is designed to cripple mine. It is perfectly arrayed against me. He's getting that bunker. I'm going to try to take the bunker out half-heartedly, using only a Stalker and a probe, and now I realize the trouble I'm in. One Marauder, he does have concussive shell. A second Marauder, oh nasty. This was a mistake. I should have let this Stalker set fire on that Marauder. And this was a mistake. I should have been doing something with him. Taking him to that wall could have redefined this game. I'm getting a second gateway, and it's on its own pylon. He's going to take that pylon out, doing two nasty things to me. supply blocking me and unpowering that gateway, at least when it finishes. Now I've got the supply block taken care of, but now he is in my worker line, killing probes with Marauders. I'm going to take a huge chunk, try to get the surround on his Marauders. It looks like it's not going to quite work. His micro's just too good, and that concussive shell lets him stay a step ahead of all my workers. He's going to quickly focus the Stalker down, and I am in a dire strait. I am still barely ahead of him on workers, although that's probably not going to... Yep, we're even now. We are even on workers, and he has an orbital command, meaning he has mules, meaning he is ahead of me on workers. This is not an ideal spot to be. Even worse, I haven't even started my Nexus, which is what this build is entirely focused around. It looks like I've totally forgotten about this Zealot. I really don't like to see that. I'm so used to Terrans expanding that normally I can send this Zealot up here and basically not even micro him, just micro the Stalker that gets there at about the same time. I did get him to cancel the bunker, although that's just good for him. More money, hooray. And now he's going to mess up my Zealot with the one additional Stalker he's built. It looks like he is going to go ahead and lift the barracks off and take it home. He's going to start transitioning into something a bit more standard, and here you see the 3 barracks supporting it. He is getting an orbital, another command center, meaning he has intentions to expand. He's just doing it his way. He's going to be aggressive and then expand. So it looks like we may have a little bit of a quiet down period. Let's see how I respond and how he responds to what just transpired. Now anytime you're hurt, anytime you take some damage early and you feel like you're at a disadvantage to the opponent, you've got a couple different options for trying to get yourself back in the game. Playing Standard is not one of them. If you play Standard and he plays Standard, then what you'll have is a Standard game where he's just ahead of you. Like I mentioned in the last game, you have to do something risky to try to equalize the advantage. Now a lot of times you'll do something risky, you'll get spotted, you'll get crushed. But if you're already at a disadvantage, you are probably going to lose that game anyway. If you do something risky and it doesn't get spotted, it doesn't get caught, then it can pull you back into the game. Looks like he is going to get rid of my Zealot. Zealot only got 1 whack on him. Really good micro from this Terran. He has really practiced with Marauders and their concussive shells. It looks like I might get this Marauder. Oh, it's going to be close. Oh, I do just get the Marauder, but I lose a Stalker to do it. That's a good trade for him. A Marauder is 125. Meaning 100 minerals, 25 gas. Stalker's 125, 125.50. So anytime you can trade a Marauder for a Stalker, that is advantageous for the Terran player. Now it looks like I have been trying to Chrono Boost probe some. I don't like to see how high my Chrono Boost is setting. And he's going to scan and reveal the risk that I'm trying to take. The Dark Shrine. I'm getting the Nexus way later than he is. We are still equal on workers, so I haven't been chrono boosting enough. It looks like I have been chrono boosting some though, because he's been double pumping workers, and I'm somewhat able to catch up with him. It looks like he may not be constant on the double pump of workers. And the Terran, having seen this Dark Shrine, is going to try to push before it finishes and get some damage done to me. Now I'm going to let the Dark Shrine finish, even though it was scouted. Given that he saw it, I'm not going to try to do something risky like send one straight into his base because of things like this. If he saw it, he's going to be ready. However, I can still use it to defend pushes, and I can use it to get Archons very quickly. Archons in the early game can be really, really nasty. He's got Stim finished even, but this is a pretty small force. I've gotten just enough army together that I think I'll be able to defend this, and with the Dark Templar in the mix, he's going to have to either waste scans or not be able to, fight. Waste scans or run, I guess. Dark Templar's movement speed, man. That movement speed, 281. They catch up to a lot of different units. Of course, Speed Zerglings, Hellions, these are things they cannot catch. But Marauders, at least unstemmed Marauders, they can catch. Now again, I'm not going to go into his base. That's risky. He can probably just kill that Dark Templar. It'll be wasted. I won't even get any damage done. I might get like an attack off on a unit. I am going to go check for the 3rd. And I actually like that I'm setting this Dark Templar to patrol. That means that I will catch his 3rd whenever it comes up, at least within a short time frame from it coming up. It looks like he's doing a kind of peculiar mix here. He's got a lot of barracks, which I would expect in Terran versus Protoss, especially after his opening. But he's got the factory, and he's not using it, which again I would expect in Terran vs. Protoss. Factory units are kind of lackluster against Protoss units. However, he's gone with 2 different starports. He's got a starport with a reactor, and he's got a starport with a tech lab. Now, the tech lab starport might indicate that, oh yeah, there we go. He was building a, well, I thought he was building a medevac. I could have just seen that wrong. I thought he was building a medevac at first, but the tech lab indicates that he's going to either get Banshees or Ravens, and this is kind of late for Banshees. A lot of times you won't see Banshees after that time window in the early game where they are critically powerful. A lot of times players don't rush straight to detection, and if you rush straight to cloaked Banshees, you can catch a player with his pants down. A lot of times after that, though, players will eventually get detection, and so if you eventually get Banshees, they'll almost always have the answer for it. It looks like I'm using a couple Dark Templars to keep some semblance of map control. I'm keeping one on his Xel'Naga Watchtower, and then of course I'm keeping this one jogging back and forth on his base. Now, he's got a drop loaded up, as you saw it leave his base. It looks like it's very Marauder heavy with just a couple Marines. If you know that a Protoss is staying on gateway forces, it's very good to be Marauder heavy. Marauders are just great against gateway forces. Having Marines mixed in, of course, is always a good idea. Oh man, the drop. It is doing the damage. He is already ahead of me in workers, and he killed a few. Now, I am going to defend it pretty easily. His whole army wasn't here, and my whole army was here, so it's not going to be any question of whether or not I can stay alive and defend the push. It's going to be a question of how much I lost. And we can see in this game, it's looking quite a bit different than the last game. In the last game, I was pretty low on the lost units for a good long time. In this one, he's keeping me just ahead of him. Hate to see that medevac get out of there. It was one stalker shot away from death. And he is macroing well from the looks of it because his army is staying up there. Now, I'm surprised to see that my army's even been able to catch up. But I am investing. I did go straight to a kind of expensive tech, and I have invested a good bit in it. You can see I have a loose Dark Templar here. I've got a Dark Templar up over here, and then of course I've got the Archon. Looks like he is just moving his third out. And he is still aware that there are Dark Templar. He's keeping the missile turret coverage good. Staying on his P's and Q's. The Raven makes sense that he saw Dark Templar. That allows him to move and still fight Dark Templar. Without the Raven, you have to scan whenever you're doing an attack against Dark Templar, and that's expensive and annoying. He's not going to find my proxy, which is good for me. And it looks like I've got the 1 armor. He's already at 1-1 though, so he's staying ahead of me in just about every facet. He's got a slightly larger armor than me. I've finally just caught him on the worker count, but his mules will put his income heavily ahead of mine. Oh god, 800 minerals roundabout ahead of mine. He's gonna snipe down an observer, take my eyes out. Oh, but I'm gonna use the positioning advantage to deny his third. Now it looks like I've got some force fields out, but they weren't ideal because they didn't totally block his forces off. And now those force fields are kind of just stopping my zealots from being effective. And still not trapping him. Oh man, I am attritioning. I am losing army this whole time. And oh, and it looks like I'm not going to be able to get this Archon away. I don't really have much of a choice other than to attack him. And I had a lot of loose Dark Templar in there, which since he's got a Raven overhead, do nothing. Can I even snipe the Raven? I'm not even going to try. I'm just trying to get out. So here you see a Terran who has had no pressure, has been allowed to get up all of his technologies, his stem, his concussive shell, his combat shield, his medevacs, even a Raven. He's been able to get up all of his technologies and have almost totally unhindered macro. And he has hindered very heavily my macro. That's not gonna work. Silly zealots, don't attack the bunker. Come way over here where it can't range and try to kill SCVs. I'm gonna try to whip out the third. This is late. The risk I decided to take was the Dark Templar. The risk did not pay off. He spotted it. He's kept me under his thumb. I am now at a 50 supply disadvantage, trying to survive. So there you have the Kryptonite to my Protoss versus Terran opener. I don't think he even had to proxy those Marauders. I think if he would have just done a barracks in his base, gotten the tech lab, gotten concussive shell and a couple Marauders, he would have been able to do some nasty things to me. It's just a weakness of my build. If he does anything gasless though, if he just gets Marines, puts up a bunker, well, you've seen a couple different takes on how that can go. By the time my warp gate research finishes, I can really put on some pressure that most Terrans aren't ready for. And even throughout a lot of the middle of this game, with as heavy as I was investing in my gateway units and those couple Dark Templar, my army value was riding over his. We were pretty close in macro. Oh man, never mind. In income, he was smoking me the whole game. These spikes come from mule cycles, but he was just absolutely ripping me apart. He had better income minus the mules than I had. The mules just made it absolutely disgusting. Popped that 50 food right out there. Alright, well, thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned for more.